Motherhood is such a deep, life-changing journey. It's all about love, sacrifice, and this incredible bond between a mom and her child. For most women, the moment their baby is born, something just clicks. Instincts take over, and they know just how to nurture, protect, and love unconditionally. But let's be real, not everyone experiences that. Sometimes, those instincts just don't show up. And honestly, these three women should have never become mothers.
Child was found this morning on 59th Street between a grocery store and a hotel, lying on the ground, clinging to life. An arrest has been made. Tell us what else you've learned since then.
The person who was arrested, police locked onto within an hour of this child being found. And let me orient you to where we are. The flowers there is about the spot where this 17-month-old girl was found. To my right is the Palms Hotel. About a block south of me is going to be Seawall Boulevard. And if you're familiar with the island, immediately to my left is Kroger. There are cameras everywhere around here. And so police say those cameras help them identify a person of interest within an hour of this child being found. And then 2 hours after that, that person was found in the parking lot of a restaurant just west of 61st Street, so not far away. That person was originally arrested on outstanding municipal warrants, but Galveston's police chief says that this person they do believe is responsible for the death of this little girl. And so right now, the Galveston County District Attorney's Office is preparing capital murder of a child charges against the person who is in custody. They are not releasing the person's name at this time or the relationship to the child until those charges are finalized, which should happen any time now. As soon as those charges are finalized, they will identify that person and the relationship to the child. The chief will only say at this time that this is a person who did have the responsibility of caring for the child at the time she died. As for how she died, the chief said it looks like it was significant trauma.
There was a fall involved, and there are other injuries, but I think it would take a great deal of speculation for me to say with any certainty exactly what caused those injuries. We have an idea, but we just don't know yet until the medical examiner does their job.
Police got the call about this abandoned 17-month-old at 9:43 this morning. And when firefighters and the first officers got here, she was alive. They went to heroic efforts to try and give her a fighting chance at surviving, but unfortunately she succumbed to her injuries at UTMB Hospital shortly after she arrived there.
30-year-old Chanel Yanko facing capital murder charges.
According to newly released arrest warrants, the 17-month-old was found on the pavement near the beachfront Palms Hotel off Seawall Boulevard with 3 apparent puncture wounds. Investigators say surveillance video from the hotel captured the moment the baby could be seen falling from what appeared to be the 3rd floor of the hotel, landing in the grass and rolling onto the concrete sidewalk. Police located the child's mother within a matter of hours after viewing the surveillance video and speaking with witnesses, including Yanko's sister.
Everyone we spoke to was in a state of disbelief, especially the man who says he will forever be mentally traumatized by what he found while trying to run a simple errand.
I didn't think I'd start my morning like this.
Brandon Urbina teared up, recalling the moments he was stopped in his tracks during a routine trip to the grocery store in Galveston.
I wish there was something I could have done, something I could have, maybe if I was 2 minutes early or something, I don't know.
Around 9:45 this morning, he was on 59th Street when he made the unthinkable discovery.
I seen a blanket on the ground, obviously a little kid's blanket. We drove a little further. I could see hair. As soon as I seen that, I threw my truck in park, popped out, and seen it was a little girl.
That 17-month-old little girl, now identified as Hannah Yanko.
She was bruised up, bleeding from her nose area. There's really no sign of life.
Little Hannah was rushed to the hospital where investigators say she died from traumatic injuries after it appears she fell. Her mother, 30-year-old Chanel Yanko, was found near a restaurant a few blocks away. She's now facing a capital murder charge. Meanwhile, people in the area who heard the news
Your Heavenly Father
showed up to the scene for a prayer vigil.
I don't understand.
To try to make sense of what happened.
And I was like, there's no way. And I just burst into tears. How do you discard a child? I mean, she mattered so much.
Not only did mourners bring flowers, candles, and balloons to the vigil, they also brought toys and stuffed animals, things that a 17-month-old little girl should be playing with, but instead, they're marking the site where her life was tragically cut short.
I couldn't even imagine.
This is where the girl's 30-year-old mother is being held, charged with her capital murder. Less than 2 miles away, strangers gather at the site where the little girl was found. One after another, the island's family showed up to a grassy spot next to the dumpster of a beachfront motel. Moms and dads brought their children carrying teddy bears and flowers to leave for a little girl whose face they never saw, whose name they did not know. At about 7:15, police released the information the island had been waiting to hear. This is the little girl. Her name was Hannah. For those on the seawall tonight, it's nothing they say they'll ever understand.
You didn't have to throw her out like trash.
The mother is expected to appear before a judge sometime in the near future. She is a resident of Houston.
One of the motives in this case, we don't know any of them. That's one of the biggest questions still yet to be answered. But we do know that that mother, Chanel Yanko, is being held in the Galveston County Jail right now without bond.
That warrant is for the charge of capital murder of a person under 10 years of age.
Handcuffed, wearing a dark green jumpsuit, Chanel Yanko appeared before a Galveston County magistrate after spending the night in jail, charged with capital murder. The mother told to say nothing as she was read her rights, but asking to call an attorney.
Can I receive my phone call? What has deputies for that with my lawyer? Ma'am, you're here for magistrate court. Please just listen to the rules that are told to you. Don't ask any other questions unless you need to.
No bond, no reaction from Chanel.
Well, these new court documents tell a gruesome story about what happened here yesterday, including details of puncture wounds being found on the child, as well as what officials are calling a murder weapon. Newly released court documents telling a story of what happened. Yanko was staying at the beachfront Palms Hotel with her daughter and her sister. Documents state Chanel's sister left to visit her fiancé down the street at the Victorian Hotel. Chanel later joining her sister at the hotel while pushing a stroller. Records show her sister assumed that the child was in the stroller but never looked inside to see if Hannah was there. It wasn't until Chanel told her sister not to go back to the hotel several times is when things got suspicious. Officials also found a trash bag and a garbage can at the hotel. In that bag, detectives found a key card to room 217, the same room where Chanel, her sister, and Hannah stayed, a skinning knife with a black handle, plastic sand toys, unused diapers, and unopened kids' snacks. They also say there's video from the second story of a baby falling from what appears to be the third floor and landing in the grass and rolling onto the concrete sidewalk where the baby was found. At the scene, court records say that Yanko began making comments about her daughter and that she might have been sick. She was taken to the police department where she was questioned, then arrested.
Police attempted to conduct a welfare check on a young boy on the evening of July 25, 2023, in Rock Island, Illinois. The mother, Sushi Staples, tells police that she is being harassed and stalked by her ex-husband's new girlfriend. Staples states that she has filed police reports and an order of protection. Staples says that she does not have a son and only 4 girls.
Are you Miss Staples?
Yes, how can I help you?
So we got kind of a weird phone call. Do you know Latricia?
No.
No?
I don't know anybody out here.
Some lady called DCFS. And,
what?
And kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves?
Absolutely not.
No, it sounds crazy to me too. That's what...
I am so sorry about this. My ex-husband, his new girlfriend, this broad is off the chain. I have went down to Rock Island and filed a police report on her.
Okay.
I have went and put a restraining order on her.
What's her name?
Her name is Tony. This girl is never in it. She has so many different Facebook pages she stalks me from. She has made up different names, called me from different numbers. I have changed my number, tried to do everything I can.
Right.
Unfortunately, I can never seem to get them served because they're always bouncing around in the Chicago area.
Oh, okay. They're not even down here.
They're
then?
not even out here. And
Okay.
it's been a constant.
Have we been here before?
No, you've never come to my house for anything. I've been here for 7 years and never had a problem in Rock Island.
Yeah, I didn't know you were.
I work at Genesis Hospital. I'm a patient care tech. I'm a student at Eastern Iowa Community College.
Okay.
I have a business in Davenport. This girl has made threats towards me on Facebook, posting her gun up, saying that she's gonna come to my addy. It's just never ending.
Right. So they made some allegation that you had a son and he shot himself and he's in your basement.
Come on now.
Officers asked to look in her basement, and Staples told them no. They needed to get a search warrant because she wasn't going to have her rights violated because her ex-husband's new girlfriend was making false allegations. The police officer on the scene said he understood and that it sounded crazy to him too.
Look where I live.
No, I get it. Just so I can check the box off, can I look in your basement real quick and I'll get out of
No,
here?
you need a search warrant to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not about to have my rights violated because someone makes Uranus allegations like this.
I know. Like I said, it sounded crazy to me too. I'm just up here seeing if, we have to investigate it, no matter how crazy it sounds.
If you want to do that, I would suggest you go through the proper protocols. I'm not about to let some crazy woman who has my husband make Uranus accusations like this and have my rights violated as a
No,
citizen.
I get it. That's what
That is not okay. I have 4 girls in here.
That's what I'm just asking.
4 children.
I'm not trying to blame anything on you. I'm not saying this is true. I was just asking. Okay.
This is nuts.
That's all it is.
I have 4 children
Her
in here.
ex-husband's new girlfriend's been causing her
And
issues. She thinks that's who it is.
ongoing. She's been harassing
number
my
provided
job, harassing my place
isn't
of
connected to
business,
anything.
harassing my children. I'm sick of it.
Okay.
I've tried to get a restraining order against her, tried to get one against him. It's never ending.
Does it only have girls?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 4. Do you want to see them?
No. They said it was a son. I was just curious
Sir,
if that's even true.
It's not.
Okay.
It's a never-ending story with these two.
I get. Like I said, I'm not trying to bother you or anything, but we get a call, no matter how crazy it sounds, we still got to come up and see if there's any truth.
And this is crazy.
It is.
This is very crazy.
Okay.
The next morning, on July 26th, officers returned with a search warrant. They questioned Staples about having a son. The woman adamantly denies having a son. Officers confront Staples with the fact that she has been receiving benefits for Zion. Staples claims she is the victim of identity theft now, and that she has made a report on this as well. Police continue to drill Staples before carrying out their search warrant. Staples then claims that she had someone create fake documents so that she could draw benefits on the child, but that he didn't exist.
She looked out the window. Hello.
Yes.
Sushi? Can you come out?
What's going on?
Well, just step on out. I'll explain everything.
Wait a minute, my kid's in here.
Okay, I understand that, but we have a search warrant for the
We're asking you
house.
for your cooperation to be up front with us.
Hold on.
So step on out.
No, step out.
What part of the house do you all have a search warrant for?
The whole house.
The whole house.
So you need to step out. Step out.
Okay, I'm gonna open the door.
Open the door.
We'll all walk in casually. We're not gonna tear up your house or anything. So.
Calm down. My kids are in here.
Okay.
Please.
How many?
4.
And where at in the house?
They're upstairs. I just made them go upstairs. I don't want to scare my kids. Can we just calm
These
down?
officers are gonna walk in there with you, and I got a copy of the warrant out here for you, honey.
Can I see the warrant, please? And I can call my lawyer. Can I see the warrant before we walk any further? I'm calm.
We have a valid search warrant, so.
I understand, but you haven't let me see it, Chet, and you're walking through my house.
It's right here. You don't run how we do.
You're not in control of this.
Okay, I'm trying to see. You all?
So I need your phone too.
My phone. That's not my phone.
Well, that's phone taken.
Hold on to that. So which rooms are your kids in?
Obviously not.
They're upstairs. I am very cooperative. I'm not fighting anybody.
You're fine. You're
I'm
fine.
just, look, I'm
Tina?
scared. My kids
Mind
are
going
here.
upstairs and checking.
My kids are here.
That's empty.
Well, it's for an old heater.
Do you know why we're here?
No, I don't. I don't know what you're here.
Okay.
I'm really scared because my kids are upstairs and I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I just, can I call my family to tell them, to somebody to come?
You're not under arrest or anything like that, okay? That's why I'm sitting here talking to you, okay?
Okay, I'm scared to death because I don't know what's going on.
And so the reason we're here, okay, is because we're investigating a call that we had, okay? The officers came out and talked to you last night, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We have to handle that real seriously, okay? Because the allegations are that you have a son and that he's deceased and he's here in this house. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Do you have a son named Zion?
No, I don't.
You've never had a son named Zion.
No.
Are you claiming benefits for a kid named Zion?
No. I haven't gotten any benefits for anyone. I just recently went through a situation where a young lady stole my identity and she falsely filed my taxes and my informations and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I've been working with the FBI. I've been working with the IRS. There's been a lot of things popping up, and
have you had any interactions with DCFS up in Chicago?
I did.
Okay.
False calls that were made.
Okay.
Correct.
One of the calls from 2021, DCFS came out to your residence in Chicago, and there was a Zion Staples there. Along with your 4 daughters, and then another young boy.
We had kids in the neighborhood come over.
So,
some of those kids that were implicated were not, in fact, our children. They were there.
So you're saying there was a kid in your apartment that was not your kid, named Zion?
I didn't say his name was Zion. No.
Well, somewhere here we've got to clear this up with this Zion Staples.
Yes, and
benefits. Listen to it. Benefits being put in his name that you're receiving from.
Received any benefits. That's what I'm telling you. Someone has stolen my identity. I have proof of that. If you go in my phone, you'll be able to see the messages between me and the FBI agent in Milwaukee. So I'm.
But this is separate from that with the DCFS call.
Because somebody is obviously claiming benefits and getting food stamps.
But they're getting food stamps for your 4 daughters. And
I've been having a hard time with that because I can't get any because of that, and I've been working on it.
Okay, are we going to find anything in your house that has Zion's name on it? Birth certificate, social security card, or anything like that?
Nope.
Well, because we're seizing your phone, okay?
I understand you're seizing it, but that's... Like, I should be able to at least call my lawyer still. I shouldn't be held in my own house and not be able to call my counsel.
Well, are you requesting a lawyer right now? Because if you request a lawyer right now, we're done talking.
And then what? You're going to arrest me?
I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to search your house.
We're going to search his house upside and down. Because somewhere here we need to get to the bottom of this Zion thing.
I can't
and
help
this is coming from other. This is coming from other people. This is.
I can't help it when people call and make allegations against me. People do this every day out of spite. And I possibly had some visitors. It was probably the summertime.
So where would they get the name Zion Staples?
Zion Staples.
I don't know. People make it up all the time. People make it up all the time.
But see, DCFS does not come into your home and say, "Okay, have the neighbors over." And let's do all this personal stuff that affects you and your family in front of all these other people.
They did.
They do it with you.
They did.
And they do it with your family.
They did, though. They very much did that.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
If you are claiming people back and forth amongst family members to get bigger returns, our biggest concern is that we can have somebody with law enforcement say, this is Zion, this is what's going on, and he is fine. Because right now, we have a person that exists, but we can't lay eyes on him, and it's a child. Okay, that's what they're saying.
What is that noise?
It's just the beeping.
So that's what we're looking at. So if this is what's going on, if you have a cousin, a sister, a brother-in-law, a friend, or whatever claiming kids, or you're claiming them on the app and you guys are splitting some extra money, I get that. The biggest concern that we have here is that we need to make sure that this kid is safe. And in the time since the officer was here last night and the time that an officer had called you back in June, that we can say, nope, she's totally clear. There's nobody here. There's nobody
Stopped
here.
and arrest. I'm telling you.
Birth certificate?
What is that?
Birth certificate.
For Zion Staples.
Zion Staples.
That's not mine.
Sushi Staples. Child, it's found in your room.
We
along
need
with
to
the Social
we
Security
need
card.
to get this
Stop
figured out. Stop
lying.
It's over.
Where's that kid? You need to come clean because we're not going anywhere. This is just, you're just going to dig yourself a bigger grave now. I asked you if there's anything with Zion's name in this house. You said no.
I needed some extra help, okay? That was it.
What do you mean by that?
I had a person that makes documents. And it was just really hard, like,
So is Zion a real person?
no. I can't call a lawyer and let them know you are here. I can't call a lawyer to come here to my house while I'm being questioned by you.
If you want an attorney right now, we can we'll just be done.
We'll be done.
All right.
But the investigation continues.
Okay.
Okay. Go and turn around for me.
Oh, no. I'm going to jail? What am I going to jail for? What have I done?
You just admitted to fraud.
So now you're going to railroad me on fraud?
Railroad you what? We're trying to figure out where your kid is.
My kid.
You're saying that he doesn't exist.
My kid. Cuff it, let me walk out.
We'll cuff you in front, okay?
This is embarrassing. I can get in the car. Do you got to take my dignity away and put me in cuffs?
We're not gonna put him behind you, okay? We're gonna walk you to the car real quick and then we'll get you out of here, okay?
My neighbors, they've been knowing me for 6 years. You see that badge over there? I work 2 jobs at Genesis.
I hear you.
I go to school out here. God, this is embarrassing.
In the basement, officers found a metal garbage can in the corner. Inside was 10-year-old Zion. He was only wearing Spider-Man pants. Staples tried to conceal the smell by stuffing dryer sheets in the vents of her home. An autopsy would reveal that Zion had died from a wound. Staples carried Zion's body in a plastic tub to the basement and then placed him in the garbage can. It was discovered that Zion had been deceased for 7 months when he was found, putting the time of death around December 21st, 2022. Staples was charged with concealment of a body, obstruction of justice, and failure to report the death of a child. She was held at Rock Island County Jail on a $500,000 bail.
She stated several times that she did not have a son because she didn't want her other 4 children to locate him in the basement. In every vent of the house, there was dryer sheets.
Initially, the other children in the home told police that they didn't have a brother. Then 2 of them told police that Zion was playing with a handgun and accidentally shot himself.
It would be AS and SS gave the story that ZS was playing with a handgun and accidentally shot himself.
The neighbor across the street talks to a reporter off camera about Staples.
I've lost sleep over it, and I've prayed a lot.
According to court documents, Zion had been dead at the Rock Island home since December.
It's unbelievable that that could be across the street and that something like that could have happened to a little boy. At one point, she chased her husband down the driveway and said she was going to pop him, and she was wielding a handgun.
Deb wondering, like many of us, how it's taken 7 months to find Zion and what tipped off police to come to the house.
In January 2024, Staples pled guilty to endangering the life of a child and was sentenced to 2 years in jail with credit for time served. Upon release, she will have 6 months of mandatory supervision. Does this sentence seem fitting for the crime? Why do you think the mother concealed her son's death rather than reporting it to the police if it was just an accident? A young Georgia mother gave a news interview in October of 2022 after her 20-month-old son went missing. Leilani appeared on camera for local news crying, saying that she hoped her baby boy Quentin was found happy and alive. Fast forward 2 years, and she was convicted of his murder on Friday, October 25th. We have put together some previous news reports outlining the basics in this horrifically heartbreaking case.
So the toddler was last seen around 6 this morning in his playpen. Quentin Simon is his name, and as the sun goes down, the search becomes more urgent for that toddler. By air and by ground, the search for 20-month-old Quentin Simon continues. The toddler was last seen around 6 a.m. Wednesday in his Buckhalter Road home. Chatham County PD, Savannah Police's Mounted Patrol, Mosquito Control, and now the Federal Bureau of Investigation among those searching for the toddler. Quentin was last seen wearing a light blue Sesame Street shirt and black pants. He has light brown hair and brown eyes. This road, entire Buckhalter Road, and roads around the area have been closed down for a big part of the day to continue to spread out the search to look for Quentin.
I talked to Leilani as well as her mother, Billy Howell, who were both just distraught over Quentin's disappearance. They say they've been harassed in the days and weeks since Quentin disappeared, but Leilani wants everybody to know that she's not running away.
I'm here. I've been here every day since this. I am not running and I'm not hiding. And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to that police station.
Chatham County Police have repeatedly said that though they've named Leilani the prime suspect in her son's disappearance and death, they don't believe she's a flight risk. Leilani says that she and her mother, Billy Howell, spend their days in the backyard of their home because it's too difficult to be inside with reminders of Quentin and the fact that he's gone.
Every day that goes by is less tears and more anger, not knowing what's happening, if that's even understandable. You wake up every day angry, hoping that you're going to get a phone call, and that phone call just doesn't come.
CCPD and the FBI haven't released many details in the case and haven't said why they believe Quentin is in a landfill. Police say they're doing that to preserve any potential court cases down the line. Leilani and Billy tell me that they get their new information about the case from watching the news and that they feel all they can do now is hope.
We want something great to come out of this, but mostly we want him not to be found in that landfill. We want him found happy and alive. We want him back in our arms, holding us. That's what we want. We're just hoping that he's in somebody's house and they're feeding him, and they are hoping that, you know, maybe they wanted a baby or couldn't have a baby. Maybe they thought they were his savior. But it's not. That's their best hopes at this point.
Quentin is believed to be dead, and his mother, Leilani, is the primary suspect, but no charges or arrests are made.
What are you doing? What is going on here? Where's the FBI? Where's Secret Service? Somebody needs to find this baby and lock her up.
After that announcement, all eyes turn to Leilani. Protesters, podcasters, and YouTubers gather outside of her home day and night. Nearly 3 weeks after Quentin was reported missing, Leilani and her mother finally speak out in an interview with WTOC News.
We know that this is going to be a physically, mentally, and emotionally grueling task for our investigators and team. Yesterday, our team posted this picture of Quentin here on the wall of this operations center as a reminder of who we are searching for and why we continue to work so terribly hard. We want justice for Quentin just like everybody else, and we want to find his remains so we can give him a proper resting place.
Throughout our process here, our goal has been to bring Quentin home and to hold anyone responsible for his disappearance accountable. We, along with our law enforcement partners, go into this process with heavy hearts. We did not want to end up at this point, but the evidence has taken us here. We are not just randomly searching this landfill. We have evidence, specific evidence, that leads us to this large property. To help in this search, the FBI has brought in specialists from Quantico, Atlanta, as well as all of our personnel here in the greater Savannah area. The FBI's evidence response team, which has experience in landfill searches like this, is heading up part of this operation. At this moment, we have dozens of FBI personnel on scene in support of the Chatham County Police Department. We will have Chatham County and FBI personnel in the landfill each day, conducting a systematic search of the debris. This will be a complex and strenuous effort. Searchers will move through the debris placed on the search deck looking for evidence. Once that debris is cleared, it will be placed on the search deck and then removed and then replaced with another section of material. This will not be quick, it will not be easy, and the outcome is uncertain. As the chief said, we want justice for Quentin, and we want to find him a proper resting place. Again, we share the sorrow felt by millions and promise all of our available resources and expertise to assist Chatham County in finding little Quentin.
We believe that he was placed in a specific dumpster at a specific location, and it was brought here by regular means of disposal.
Is that a dumpster at a gas station on 95?
I can't answer that.
Is Leilani still the only suspect?
She is.
You mentioned the other day you didn't believe she's a flight risk. Has that changed?
That has not changed.
How hopeful are you that you'll find Quentin's body?
I have every belief that we will find his remains here at the landfill.
Do y'all know where Leilani is today? And I don't mean right at this action moment, but do y'all know where she is?
I believe she's still here in Chatham County. We do not believe she's a flight risk.
Authorities sifted through trash at the local landfill for weeks before finding human remains, which DNA tests confirmed to be Quentin.
We'll be willing to take some questions at this time.
Do you have that you guys found bones in the landfill? Is that?
We found human remains, yes ma'am.
Can you talk a little bit about what evidence you all confirmed or learned on Friday led you all to go ahead and make that arrest specifically for today versus earlier on?
Well, as we had said from the beginning with the landfill, we had every belief that Quentin was there in the landfill. Having found what we found on Friday and the preliminary findings from the FBI that we got today led us to make an arrest today. We feel that we have a very strong case. We have put thousands of hours into this, and we believed that this was the right move today to be able to do that. She doesn't deserve a Thanksgiving, quite frankly, if I can go off script a little bit. Quentin deserves that.
You said that you didn't believe any other arrests would be made. Are you guys looking into Billy Joe at all?
We are not. Knowing the hard work that went into this investigation, everybody, not just Chatham County Police Department, but everybody that chipped in, the FBI, GBI, DNR, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, the civilians, you name it, from A to Z, we were 100% committed to bringing justice for Quentin, and to appreciate the amount of human effort, the amount of human emotion that goes into a case like this, and to appreciate, hopefully, that this comes to a conclusion in terms of a conviction and things of that nature. You have a lot of emotions about that. You also have a lot of emotions as just a general human being.
While Leilani Simon is still here at the Chatham County Detention Center a little over a week after being arrested on 4 charges, including the murder of her son, Quentin Simon. I did speak to Leilani's mother, Billy Howell, today. Billy was actually the one who drove Leilani to the Savannah FBI office to be arrested, and she says that she hasn't seen or heard from Leilani since then. She tells me that other inmates at the jail have been calling her to update her about Leilani's condition. Billy says that Leilani has been placed on suicide watch.
Leilani Simon pleaded not guilty on multiple charges, including the murder of her son, and she was denied bond.
This court will not consider bond, don't have the jurisdiction or authority to do so.
Quentin lived with his 22-year-old mom, Leilani, and his grandmother, Billy Jo Howell. Howell had custody of Quentin, filed an eviction notice on Leilani and her boyfriend on September 26, a little over a week before Quentin goes missing. In between Quentin being reported missing and Leilani's court hearing, Chatham County Police and FBI agents scoured through a landfill for exactly 1 month until they found what they believe are Quentin's remains last Friday. Leilani, who is currently in jail for her son Quentin, has 2 other young children. Neither were in her custody before she was arrested. While Leilani is behind bars, many questions remain. We still don't know what led up to Quentin's death.
This selfish woman spent the late hours of October 4th and into the early morning of October 5th getting high off of cocaine and Percocet, killing her son, putting him in the trash, and then just going to sleep.
For the first time, we're learning more about the final moments of 20-month-old Quentin Simon's life. In the response to Leilani Simon's special demurrer, the state outlined what happened after Leilani allegedly threw Quentin's body into a trailer park dumpster. Hours after throwing Quentin's body away, a garbage truck came, lifted the trash, and dumped it into a compactor inside the truck. When the load arrives at the landfill, it's dumped on the ground and a bulldozer shoves the garbage 300 feet into different cells. Quote, "This is not a neat process," prosecutors write in their response. They say it requires multiple sweeps by the bulldozers that shove, spread, and smear the contents. Once at the cell, prosecutors say Quentin's body was then compacted again by a 50-ton steamroller. Quote, "All of which is to say Quentin's body went through a lot. By the time the expert searchers found him, after looking for more than a month, his body had undergone severe trauma and decomposition. And it wasn't in just one place. Prosecutors say he was dispersed across the landfill. Quote, a bone here, a tissue there." The basis of Leilani's demurrer for the murder charges is that the state wasn't specific enough in their indictment, but the state argues that an indictment can only be as specific as the evidence. With his body in pieces, prosecutors admit no cause of death has been determined or likely ever will.
Little Quentin Simon was just 20 months old when he was last seen in his home in Savannah, Georgia on October 5th, 2022. He lived with his mother, Leilani Simon, her boyfriend, Danny Youngkin, and his grandmother, Billy Jo Howell. Simon tells police that Quentin's biological father, Henry Bubba Moss, took him, so authorities go to Bubba's home more than an hour away.
He was being questioned about where he was overnight. October 4th into October 5th, and proved to police satisfaction anyway that he had nothing to do with it.
On the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Simon, please state your full name.
Leilani Murray Simon.
Okay. And you're doing the right thing, just talking to the microphone so the court reporter can get it. I think you've heard me give that instruction a couple of times.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so do you personally wish to testify or not?
I do not.
How often would you drink?
Daily.
How often daily?
As I stated yesterday, about 5 shots of Fireball and 3 to 4 25-ounce beers.
Okay.
I'd go to work and I'd get off work and I'd stop by the liquor store in Port Wentworth on the way back to the house.
Well, what kind of drinker are you? Are you a blackout drinker or a pass-out drinker?
Neither.
Okay. So you just said you didn't remember. You'd already been by the liquor store. I was wondering what going by the liquor store would have to do with affecting your memory.
I just don't have great memory. I used to do a lot of drugs.
All right. What kind of drugs did you used to do, Mr. Youngkin?
Cocaine and
In the weeks, days, and hours leading up to October 5th, were you doing cocaine, marijuana, and alcohol?
not marijuana, but cocaine and alcohol, yes, sir.
When you did drink and drive, where did you normally do it at?
In the house.
Where at in the house?
On a dresser that was next to the bed.
All right, so you would do it in the room where the kids were?
Unfortunately.
You said the dresser that you put it on was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you leave it on the dresser? Would you put it on a plate? What would you do with it?
On the dresser, it would be in a bag, or snip it out of the bag, or put a line on the dresser and snip it off the dresser.
All right, so and that's kind of the point I'm getting to. It's either in the bag on the dresser and you sniff it from the bag.
The dresser is like this tall.
That's fine, I'm just asking. The point is it was out on the dresser in the bedroom where the children were. That's my point.
Sure.
Were you drinking or doing any drugs that night? Anytime that night?
Prior to 10 o'clock, yeah. Prior to when I laid down, yes.
Okay, what were you doing prior to 10 o'clock?
Drinking and the rest of the little bit of coke I had.
All right, so you were drinking and doing cocaine up to 10 o'clock. And is that why you sent her to 204 to get some more?
I didn't send her to 10 to 204. She was the one who said she wanted to go to 204. That's in the text messages.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Who would normally get the drugs, you or her?
That were her people.
All right. And would y'all share drugs or
Yes.
would you keep it separated?
Share it for the most part.
All right. So if you got some cocaine or some weed or some
I
sets,
didn't give her.
all right. But if you got cocaine, you'd share.
Yeah.
And if she got it, she'd share.
No.
No.
No. She was selfish.
How did it work? Who brought the kids to your house?
Most of the time, Danny. Once in a while, Leilani.
All right. And how often would the children stay with you?
At first, it was just when they worked. And then it started being overnight. Leilani was paying, but it wasn't like steady. She would pay, and then she would text me later and tell me she needed formula for Sky or diapers, and could she come and get it? And she would pay back when she got paid next time.
What the agreed upon amount was, whether you were actually getting that or not?
It was like $25 here, $30 there. One time I think she paid $100. It was just different amounts.
Okay.
Because she would tell me she didn't have it or she had to do this.
So is it fair to say that you and your daughter were being paid a lot less than the normal going rate for childcare?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Zane stayed a handful of times. Quentin stayed a lot.
And why is that? Why would Quentin stay overnight?
Honestly, Quentin loved us. He was close to us. And I just felt like he would be better off at our house because there was a difference in the love she showed between Zane and Quentin. And I felt bad, and I would work, and my daughter would say, "Can we just get him, Mom, because this happened today?" And I would say, "Yeah, call her and ask her if he can stay."
Can you think of some examples of how the defendant treated the boys differently?
Well, she was working at Bojangles, and she had brought food home, and she fed Quentin loved food, and every time he seen a bag, he would want it. He's little. She would feed Zane before she fed Quentin, every time. And I just thought that was strange.
So do you mean she'd give Zane food and make Quentin wait?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
She wasn't physically feeding Zane at that
No, she would give him the food.
Just give him food.
And he would eat, and then Quentin would be, whining and wanting it, and she would give it to him eventually.
Are there any other ways that she treated the boys differently that you noticed?
Just by the way she talked to him. When she would, once in a while that she did come and pick them up, she would, you know, grab Zane and he would hug her because he was close to her. I mean, you could definitely tell it. And then, you know, Quentin 99% of the time wanted to stay with us, and he would start crying. Now, if Danny come and picked him up, it was different.
Okay. How did Quentin act if Danny came?
He would go with Danny. He wouldn't cry to stay with us. He loved Danny. He would, you know, Danny would pick him up and he'd hug him.
Did Leilani ever talk to you about how she felt about the boys?
Yes, ma'am. She just, one time, but she just said that she loved Quentin more. I mean, Zane more than Quentin. And, you know, I didn't question it. She's a crappy mom. I knew that. But I just never said anything to her. I would always call Billy Joe when I seen things that was going on.
Okay. Did she ever, in that conversation, did she explain more about, like, Zane had been through things with her?
Yes,
or anything
that
like
Zane had been her ride or die his whole life. And she did not like Quentin's father. On one incident, my daughter was going to our shed, that's where our laundry room is, and she had come running in and saying, Mama, Zane and Quentin is in the ditch. Well, it was the road on Buckhalter, but the ditch is right here. And Quentin was actually in the ditch, and Zane was trying to get him out. I immediately called Billy Joe.
And observing these kinds of things, did you ever report it to any authorities?
It had been reported. It had happened several times even before we started keeping them that I didn't know about, and it had been reported.
Okay. Do you know what authority, if any, it had been reported to?
DFACS.
Okay. And you say it had been reported, so were you aware of somebody other than you reporting it? Okay. And if you could say yes or no.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let's move to the day that Quentin disappeared.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember that morning?
Yes. And around about 5:28, 5:29, I got a text from Danny saying that Leilani was keeping the kids today.
Okay. Now, had that happened before where she would not go to work and the children would stay at home?
No, because even if she didn't go to work, most of the time she sent them to us because she wanted to sleep.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Because, and she would stay at home because one day I had them and me and my daughters were taking them somewhere. And when we rode by, when we got in the car, she was on her front porch. It's like a little porch. And when she seen us, she actually ducked down and hid from us because she was supposed to be at work. But it didn't matter. We loved them, so I would have kept them anyway.
Can you tell us a little bit about what Quentin was like? Like, what did Quentin like? I know he was very young. He wasn't even 2 years old yet. But were there things that he said or things that he liked that you know about?
Yes. He loved cheese. Every time I would get home from work, he would want mac and cheese, and he would go to the refrigerator and he would get my cheese out, my block of cheese, for me to cut it for him. And if I would have let him, he'd ate the whole thing. He loved Blimpie. He loved Bubbles. Anytime we could go to the store and get him Bubbles, he just loved them. He was a very happy baby when he was with us.
The children, when they came to your home, were they sent with clothes, food, diapers, things that they would have needed?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so how was that handled?
Well, Zane always come dressed. Several times we got Quentin and he would be in a long onesie and he would have poop from all over. I don't want to say a baby didn't smell good, but he smelled like rotten milk. He had rings around his neck. We'd immediately bathe him and put him fresh clothes on.
Okay. Did you keep clothes for him at your house?
I did, because I had to tell Billy Joe that she wasn't sending anything for the kids.
So you didn't think she was a good mom, and you were fairly vocal about it. And
Yeah, I didn't think she was a good mom. Thought she was a shitty mom.
well, there you go. Okay, I'm going to ask you. You started watching Quentin in January to February of 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
And everything you've just told me, I'm going to ask you what you did. Okay?
Okay.
Did you ever make any police reports? You?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you ever make any reports to DFACS? You?
I talked to them. Yes, I did.
That wasn't the question. I asked you if you reported what you were concerned about.
No, because DFACS got in contact with me.
That's, again.
No, I did not.
You never reached out, and you weren't concerned enough between January and October to do that on your own, were you?
I was very concerned.
But not concerned enough to reach out and make a report.
I didn't have to. They reached out to me.
In the morning, was it a normal day?
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about the point where it became not a normal day?
I was just breaking through the garbage, and then I had observed a white small object could fit in the palm of my hand. It looked like bone to me, so I remember seeing my Lieutenant Foster, because they were all on the side, and contacting him, and they came over and removed it.
I'd like to approach with what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 77. Can you look through here and tell me if you recognize the object that you're describing?
Yes, I do.
Is that it on the first page there?
Yes, sir.
Can you pull this out and display it to the jury, please?
Yes. This is the object that I was talking about.
What do you remember happening from there?
I just remember notifying my lieutenant and then coming over and collecting it.
And then after that?
We continued to search. Really, any items that we found that we thought were potentially bones, we would put in the buckets for them to collect and to get tested.
Let me ask you this. After having been out there for weeks, going through line after line, tell me what it felt like to see that little piece of Quentin's skull and pick it up and realize what it was.
It was heartbreaking.
Was it rewarding also? I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thankfully, Simon was convicted of the sweet angel's death. We can't wait for her sentencing and hope that she gets the maximum penalty possible.
We, the jury, find as follows: malice murder. We find the defendant guilty. Count 2, felony murder. We find the defendant guilty.
Judge Tammy Stokes reading the verdict as defendant Leilani Simon stands like a statue with barely any emotion until the jury left the room. Jurors ultimately sided with the prosecution, believing Leilani beat her 20-month-old toddler son to death before throwing his body in a trailer park dumpster and lying about it all for weeks. Prosecutors Tim Dean and Jenny Parker telling the jury Leilani was in the midst of a drug-induced bender when Quentin was killed. The state saying she did it so that men would give her the attention she so craves.
She couldn't get that need fulfilled. She couldn't feel better about herself. So instead, she does something so drastic. She killed Quentin. And in the act of killing Quentin, she became a sympathetic person and got Danny's attention back.
The state presented FBI interviews, text messages, security video, and GPS data that they say show Leilani was the only adult awake the night of October 4th into the 5th, making her the only one able to have killed the 20-month-old. Defense attorneys Martin Hilliard and Robert Purse taking a very different approach, trying to sow doubt with the jury, not even presenting a defense for their client beyond cross-examination.
The state had to concede that in their closing argument, that they don't know what happened. You cannot speculate someone into a guilty verdict.
Nearly 36 witnesses took the stand. Among the highlights was one of Quentin's babysitters, 17-year-old Talia McCarta. She testified that Leilani was abusive to Quentin.
We would have Quentin for weeks at a time at our house. She never called to check on Quentin. But we never complained about it because we really enjoyed Quentin being at our house, being able to love on him.
Emotions were heavy when Chatham County police officer Sophia Zerke took the stand. She found the first of Quentin's remains, later identified as his skull.
And I'm here now at the Chatham County Jail where Leilani Simon sits behind me and will remain until sentencing can happen. Once sentenced, she could spend the rest of her life, or much of the rest of her life, behind prison walls.
What are your thoughts on this case? What do you think the penalty should be for Leilani Simon?